Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the Junkyard Crawl with help from my friends at High Octane Classics in Auburn, Mass. Thanks, guys. And this is a 1957 Jeep FC150. Now, we often think of the 40 Econoline van of 1961 too as being the world's first forward control American-built van or pickup truck. Well, not so fast. The FC in FC150 stood for forward control. And in fact, these Jeeps were built between 1957 and 1966. But here's the thing. If you look at the wheels, they're so narrow under this wide cab. That's because these are based on the same 81-inch wheelbase frame as the Jeep CJ. So to me as a kid, these things coming down the road kind of look like Frankenstein's head on a roller skate. And in fact, if you look at it right here, you'll see the front wheels are way in there. I mean, way in there. But again, it's a modern cab designed by Brooks Stevens sitting on an old Jeep CJ design frame. Best of both worlds. Now here's the thing, Jeep hoped to sell the heck out of these things, but in fact, only about 31,000 of these things were built between 57 and 66. They never really took off. Odd styling. But again, as we make our way around this thing, we'll see this one has full-time, well, I should say the front wheels are always driven. If you disconnect the transfer case, then you have rear-wheel drive. But with that said, the front drive, you can't unlock those hubs. That was an option, but not seen on this one here, no locking hubs. In the back, this one has the factory pickup truck bed. There'll be a spare tire bolted here, so strictly function, but the frame under this thing is very similar to the Jeep CJ. Springs, axles, pretty much all of it. Even the wheels, but again, the beds on these things, there were a few different options. There were tow trucks, there was even a dump body that was possible, but look how the function on this thing is designed. The spare tire on this thing, there's a little well the tire would fit up inside, and up here, this hump is the top of the spare tire well, not the rear wheel well. That's down under the load bed. But something about these, they were all four-wheel drive. There's no such thing as a two-wheel drive FC. And here we can see here, well, Jeep very aggressively advertised that whole Jeep forward control four-wheel drive on this original paint example. Now these have long, hard lives more often than not. And you can see that the original latches for the tailgate gave up the ghost long ago. So these welded up, cobbled together bits here, hey, they do the job. But again, these things usually live very long, well, hard lives. I don't know if they were that long, to be honest, because rust was the enemy on these things. We can see that these things do have the engine in the cab. This vent, this grating right here, is how the engine compartment is exhausted. There's a radiator underneath the front floor, and the engine is in a doghouse, no pun intended, to our little buddy here, Lockjaw, the dog mascot. He's very quiet, never bites, never barks, I love him. But anyway, this grating here is where the air would come out. And in speaking of inside the cab, Super Shane Robert Richardson, why don't you head on inside and we'll meet inside the cab. And here it is. Again, we're inside Frankenstein's head. Mary Shelley's creation, and here is the engine. Now this is the FC150. There was also the FC170 long wheelbase. They could be had with a six-banger flathead. This is the F-head 134 cubic inch four-cylinder, which was an upgrade over the standard flathead 4. Now here's the thing, this engine came out I think in 52 or so. It's half flathead, half overhead valve. Crazy, weird little engine called an F-head. And again, this is the engine also available in Jeep, CJ, and this one here, of course, has an oil bath air cleaner. And this usually lives inside of a metal doghouse. You can't really get at the engine without lifting the doghouse. And these little rubber straps right here, these are how the doghouse is held down, kind of like a speedboat or a snowmobile. So again, industrial styling meets automotive styling. In fact, speaking of industrial, this instrument panel is so austere it could almost be Soviet. And in fact, the cigarette or the ashtray right here, what do we got here? Yeah, nothing, but it is cool. Everybody in this period of time smoked cigarettes, so there you go, standard ashtray on these things. But again, here is the four-wheel drive, the transfer case right here, four-wheel drive low, four high, two-wheel drive high. So again, you could take it out of four-wheel drive, but the front axle would still be turning its ring and pinion, etc. You know, and not wearing out, but not saving gas. Not that that was the point of these things. But look at the wraparound windshield. Again, Brooks Stevens designed this cab for the FC. Brooks Stevens also did the Jeep Wagoneer, and of course the 1949 Jeep station wagon and pickup truck. So Brooks Stevens, an accomplished designer, did these. I got to say, not the craziest car to get in a crash. You're the first one to arrive at the accident scene. You can see the headlight buckets are right there. Literally, the face of this thing is the front, and you better wear your steel-tip boots. But again, if you thought the 61 or 2 Ford Econoline van or pickup was the first forward control, now it happened right here, 57 through 66. Now this one here, the space utilization is interesting on this thing. This is the factory glove compartment, so you had to basically reach over your shoulder and let's play a little game. What's in the box? Okay, no mice, nothing's moving. That's cool. This looks like a, what do you have here? A pack of, I don't know what the heck that is. I don't know, some kind of a, I don't know, I guess chain guards, bolts. Nothing too cool. Bag of fasteners, nothing really that cool. But anyway, really crazy that the ashtray or the glove compartment would be behind the seat. And again, a radio right there has been added on. That's a cobbled together item. The brackets on that clearly are not from Jeep. As crude as Jeep could be, or as workmen like that, is definitely somebody's home-brewed critter. That's a tube radio out of probably an old Plymouth or something like that with the buttons. And again, the heater in this thing is certainly possible. I believe it would go under the dash. It's been deleted here, that plate. Apparently somebody, either the core was leaking or who knows what. But again, this was used as a snowplow up on the top, up on the roof, kind of a cool little yellow light up on the top. We can see that right there. So when the blizzard of 78 hits, you hit the light and go out there and plow out your neighbors. But again, visibility through the back of this, not so bad. You know, the side windows on these things were standard, nice wide rear window, standard equipment. And again, these could be had as the FC170, longer wheelbase. And I've even seen these things with dual wheels on the back. In other words, a 4-tire axle, Dana 60 in the back, and those are very rare, very heavy duty, and these things were available all the way up to, I think, 2 or 3 ton capacity. But this one here is a half-tonner based on a Jeep CJ chassis, but to me it was just such a weird, crazy looking thing with Frankenstein's head coming down the road on a roller skate, because the track is so narrow, the cab's so wide. And again, these only sold about 31,000 units in that 57 through 66 production run. Not that popular. Jeep was certainly disappointed in that, but now these are hard to find, and even harder to find without rust. That was the problem with these things. The steel they used was decent, but there wasn't much in the way of undercoating, and many of the interior surfaces, the hidden areas, are bare metal. They weren't even dipped and galvanized anything, I don't think, at this point in time. But with that said, this one here has probably seen its last mile. It'll sit here in perpetuity in this Vermont junkyard. And if you like this video, be sure to come back tomorrow for more goodies here on the Junkyard Crawl.